Okay, Restream.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was gonna
Good
start
morning,
singing a
everybody.
Rolling Stones song there, but
Yeah. Good morning. How are we doing today, everybody?
Morning.
doing
Cozy.
great.
Morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Yeah.
Are
like
we all
Christina
feeling
hugging
nice
the
and
coffee
warm and
mug,
fuzzy
same.
now? Yeah.
I have my heater on. I've become a baby, you know. I used to be in Minnesota. I used to be super hardy. Now it's like 11 degrees outside and my basement is cold and I'm like I need some warmth.
Yep.
See, I'm
Yep.
just
Negative
wishing.
18 here. No, go ahead, Kyle.
I was just saying, I'm just wishing that some of that cold that's hitting the rest of the country right now would shift its way over to Utah, where I'm at right now, because we need it. It's 32 degrees in the city right now, and it's been like highs in the low 50s for most of the winter.
Wow.
Oof.
Holy cow!
Snowbirds need to move to
Yeah.
Yeah, you know,
Well,
the greatest snow on Earth also has lots of heat.
I think one of the challenges Kyle faces is moving is very difficult for you, right? Like selling the house. Wait, no, not selling the house. Gassing up the car, driving someplace.
Oh yeah,
in that new place. You know.
Yep, it is quite the task to move my very movable home every single day. I've been on the road for almost 3 years now, or a little bit over 3 years now, so it's very easy to shift around.
That is actually, that's very cool. So Kyle, welcome to the live stream and welcome everyone. Before we dive into it and get descend too much into this madness, Kyle, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure thing. Good morning, everyone. My name is Kyle Mueller. I have been part of the community around here for a while, but I'm relatively fresh faced to Tabular Editor. Just joined the team over here back in August of last year, and my primary role is to help be a product evangelist. I'm not a sales guy. I'm not here to sell anyone anything, but I love Tabular Editor probably almost as much as Chris does, and I like helping other people learn more about it.
We'll sell it for you. Go buy it now.
Yes.
Use Kratos BI at checkout for 0% off.
That's exactly right. They are not a sponsor or a partner of the show, but we do absolutely love Tabular Editor, and we'll be getting into more of the why very shortly. So
it's a little early for a commercial break, don't you think?
Yeah, we
you know,
YouTube really frowns on it. The pre 5-minute mark, Kevin. I just got.
Oh, jeez.
Undone. YouTube algorithms.
Yeah, we're dropping out at her promo code, and so now we're. So to that end, everyone, please hit that like button. Leave a comment. All that stuff will counteract Kevin's mention of promo code pre 5 minutes. I think, and now my saying it twice.
Yeah, just keep piling it on.
Yeah. Well, that's fantastic. I know it's negative 16 where I'm at with the wind chill of negative 44. So I'm very thrilled to be indoors right now. How are Kyle? You said it's 32 by you, Christina. It's 11. Jared, what is it by you now?
Negative 18 with a negative 43 wind chill. I'm still wearing a t-shirt because Wisconsin pride.
Yeah, actually, I am too. What is going on here? Like the coldest people are wearing t-shirts, and
well, you have your heat set the highest. That's my guess. Your heaters are doing more work right now.
The cold never bothered me anyway.
Yeah.
It's still a thing, right?
Now, see, Jared, now you just have to do that little spin and the ice dress will pop onto you.
Right.
No. You got to do the stage version where it's a pull-off dress with a dress underneath. That's
There you go. There you go.
I don't have the rigging for that, nor do I have a stagehand sitting behind me. So
The one
we'll have
time
to
doing
work
it
on.
live, you know. It's the
Yeah, we'll have to
problem.
work on upping Jared's budget for production quality.
and update square footage. There's like 2 feet between me and the wall, and I'm not cutting into the wall.
Oh, fantastic. Stina's saying the wind chill is negative 37 in Sioux Falls. Holy cow. Just stay inside, right? You know,
Yeah.
I'm going to be
I'm pretty comfortable at 48, so
40.
not gonna-
Oh, you're crazy.
Nice.
I'm going to admit, last night at 10 o'clock, I had just put my pajamas on and I had just sat down to get into bed. And my wife said, "Oh, we didn't get the mail today." Like,
It can wait.
yeah.
like, okay. She's like, some packages showed up. Our mailbox is full. And like, we live on a country road. And if they like start piling stuff on, like the stuff blows away. So I'm like, son of a nutcracker. And it was only, it was 9 degrees out last night. I'm like, you know what? That's going to be better than any time tomorrow. So I diligently got out of bed, put socks and shoes and a coat and hat and bundled up and went out and got the mail. So
So
Wow.
you want my fun then?
Was it worth
my
it?
wife
Was
and
the
I-
question. Sorry, Jared.
Oh, good.
pillowcases, lots of pillowcases. So
Pillowcases?
It better be flannel.
Yeah.
Jared, what was your fun?
So my fun right now is, I don't think I've really said it widely on this channel yet, but I got a puppy about a week and a half ago, which on the one hand, super cute fluff ball, but that also means we're basically in newborn mode, which means he's getting up at least every 1 to 2 hours at night. So guess who was up every hour to 2 hours last night with negative temperatures? Well, admittedly, it was tag teaming between my wife and I, so at least we get a little bit of a break. But yeah, I can't avoid the cold right now.
We'll talk later because my wife wants a puppy too, so we have an imaginary dog now, and I got others in the game.
This summer,
Well,
not right now.
No.
So what you
just
guys
never.
don't see is I have a little heating pad that I put on my feet during the day. So I'm all cozy.
That's interesting.
It's great.
Wow.
Jared, you can't tell us about the puppy and not show us the puppy. I feel
know.
like we're missing out here.
Yeah.
Yeah, good call.
I don't think I have any good, or I don't think there's any way to show pictures in chat. I'll try and get one for next week.
Okay. Good
All right.
deal.
Tune
He's
in.
upstairs and it's a little too bitey, as you can tell from.
I was wondering.
Oh,
yeah.
wow, yeah.
It's only a flesh wound. It looks worse than it is. It's fine.
It's only a flesh wound. I could still
Puppies are
bite you.
You should see the other guy.
But
I feel like
Kyle,
we need
you
one of those
have-
cartoon announcers to be like, "Oh, hey, tune in next week for photos of Jared's puppy."
Is that our topic? What?
Yeah.
That would be great.
Golden Retriever analytics.
Yeah. Ooh, data puppies. There we go. Or data dogs. That would be,
There we go.
that's the theme. Let us know. All right, but Kyle, quick before we head over into it, we got to get into it quick here. You have a very interesting ice hobby. Like I try with ice not slipping. You do something different. What is it that you do?
So I do a lot of things on ice, but my favorite thing to do on ice is actually climbing up frozen waterfalls, which sounds insane. It sounds wrong in a lot of ways, but I picked it up probably about 5 years ago and have absolutely fallen in love with it to the point where my desktop is very messy, but actually the desktop background on my machine shows a photo of me ice climbing about 2 years ago.
Wow.
Holy cow. I didn't even know ice climbing was a thing. How do you get started with that? Are you just like, is there a degree of mental illness there? Like, what's the,
you wake up one
what's the
day.
thought?
You wake up one day and you say, you know what, I want to defy nature today. I want to do something that shouldn't be possible and go up a waterfall instead of going down. But the really fun thing is in the summer times, I also am into whitewater kayaking, which involves launching yourself down waterfalls. So I just really like to, be on waterfalls.
I guess so.
Chasing
I got,
waterfalls.
yeah. Oh, you beat me to it.
I'll go ahead and put in the obligatory joke about being in a van down by the river.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Well, hey, Dean, thanks so much for becoming a member. And if anyone else is interested, become a member for as low as $5 a month. The big benefit you get is you get to support this channel and the stuff that we believe it or not. This costs several $1,000s every year to run right now, and I've been paying it. But it'd be fantastic if you want to chip in. That would be great. I would love it if people found it useful. Otherwise, I enjoy it, so it's not a huge deal. But if you become a member, it would be fantastic. I'd really appreciate it. You do get early access to videos and whatnot, so that's great. But enough of this. We've been talking way too long. We are here to talk Tabular Editor tips and tricks within Tabular Editor. Kyle, can you kick us off on your favorite tip or trick here?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So I have a lot of small ones I like, and I really like to focus on quick wins for people and just things that make life a little bit easier with minimal effort. So one of my absolute favorite little tips and tricks, I'll go ahead and pop open Tabular Editor here. And when I'm working with writing decks, which especially when I was working as a consultant, I used to be a big DAX nerd. I really like to be able to always have that blank line at the start of all my DAX expressions in order to make it show up nicer inside Power BI Desktop, be consistent across everywhere that I'm using it. And so one thing that we have the ability to actually do inside of Tabular Editor is I'm just going to go to the Preferences menu right here underneath Tools. And in our preferences, we can actually put a global preference to add a line break on the first line of DAX only for multi-line DAX expressions or for all DAX expressions. And as small of a thing as this really seems, this just makes a really big difference for me as a quality of life feature, making it easier to view my code, whether it's in Tabular Editor, inside Desktop, or inside any other tools I'm going to use, and making it a consistent experience.
Nice.
Holy
That
crap.
is, it's kind of, yeah, that's interesting to me because two things is this preference, but I don't do this. And so
Really?
the quality of life thing that you're talking, I mean, I can imagine it. Ooh, that's great. So the quality of life thing is basically, so the measure shows with the name kind of equals, and you have a blank line.
Can you show us what that looks like?
Yeah, I mean, does it really helps out in desktop, I guess, a whole lot. Do others do this too? Have I been like living under a waterfall, frozen or something?
Just show us a measure that, yeah.
Yeah, so let me go to a measure over here. I'm just going to use my net sales measure. And so,
when I was a young kid, we didn't put line breaks in front of our measure.
That's what I sound like. Yes.
the big thing that I'll use this for is inside of Tabular Editor, it doesn't make too huge of a difference as far as what you're actually viewing. But when we are connected up to a Power BI desktop file, which I don't have a data set open right now, but I do have desktop open for us, we can actually make sure that all of our measures, when we're looking at the very top formula bar, and it just has that one very small line that shows the measure name, I like for it to show only the measure name there. So I'm just going to create a quick table over here to be able to show what that looks like. But especially inside desktop, I think that just makes it a more consistent experience, mostly because once I have a measure in here, so I'm just going to create a measure here, and I'm going to say this is my measure equals, and I'll just put 1, a static value in here right now. When I'm going to actually click on that, I already have that formula expanded. The big thing is that that first line, when I put a blank line as the first line, will show me just measure equals, and that makes sure that I know I need to click on the caret icon here to view the rest of that measure. However, if you are using that first line to actually store variables to start your DAX expression, it can confuse newer users, especially, or any self-service users. They see the start of an expression there, they don't know that they need to expand it, and they think that that's everything that's part of it.
Interesting.
It's a good call out.
Yeah.
So it's a really, really
All right. Well,
small
thanks for
thing,
coming,
but I think
everybody.
it's
We're
different.
done.
Yeah.
So try this now. Yeah. Can only go down from
and hang
there.
on, I think we're skipping over the biggest tip. Can you go back over to Tabular Editor?
Absolutely.
Okay, when I launch Tabular Editor, or when I go to Power BI, I've got this great feature called Dark Mode. And when I launch Tabular Editor, it comes up all white and icky. What is it that you've done to not make it white and icky?
That's a great question, because I also think that the default white is kind of icky at times. I like to work in dark rooms a lot of the time, and dark mode just makes it a lot easier on my eyes.
How many rooms do you have in that van?
It's bigger
like
on the
many want
inside.
it to be. It's just like the tents in the Harry Potter series, or the TARDIS.
There we go.
But so in order to actually put things in dark mode, in the window menu right here inside Tabular Editor 3, if we go all the way down to theme down here, there's multiple built-in themes here. The default one is just going to be this light theme here, but I personally prefer the dark mode. If you like the color blue for some reason, and blue is just your favorite color on earth, you want it to look like SSMS, you can make it look like SQL Server Management Studio if you really want to. And there's also a couple of other themes that are built in over here.
Oh, hang on. We were blocking that. Do that again.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry.
So I'm going to go to the window menu right here at the top inside Tabular Editor. And then all the way at the very bottom of that, we'll see this theme option right here. So the light theme is going to be the default. And if you want it to look like SQL Server Management Studio, that's what the blue theme can do for you. If you're really nostalgic for the days of working a little bit more in SSMS.
Nobody is nostalgic for that. Yeah.
Dear sir, have you heard of SSMS 22? Still are.
I mean, hey, every once in a blue moon, I get nostalgic for my old Crystal Reports days, so I'll put it back into light mode for that.
Kyle's gonna have to leave the podcast. I'm terribly sorry.
Yeah.
That's it. That's what is that? What's that syndrome where you start to feel for your abuser and your captor?
Stockholm syndrome.
Stockholm syndrome. Yeah, that's you're showing signs of that if you're reminiscing for the good old days of Crystal Reports. So.
It was a simpler time in my life generally. It was not a simpler time in work.
All right, fair enough. Okay. So, two big tips so far. Number one, line in front of your DAX measure. 2, go to dark mode and no longer be icky. All right. What's your next big tip that we've got here?
Yeah, so I'm going to jump around to a few different things here because I don't have necessarily an order that I think of these in. But the next one that I want to talk a little bit is a little bit about is something that's brand new in this month's release of Tabular Editor 3. So you mentioned in the chat earlier that it is already out. The release blog is not up yet, but the release notes are up. And one thing that's really, really handy in this month's newest release is just having the ability having the ability to actually shift the default language of Tabular Editor 3 as a whole. We've added native support for Spanish language and Chinese language. And so I know that if Ricardo or any of the folks from the Power BI quiz en Espanol are in the stream right now, they will absolutely appreciate the ability to actually shift the entirety of the tool over to Spanish language.
Pretty cool.
Nice.
That is awesome.
Okay, can you show us quickly how you shift it, and then more importantly, how you shift it back? So if you accidentally shift it, you're not stuck in in German or Spanish? And like,
Absolutely. Let's see if I can actually remember exactly
it's
where
always
that
been our.
setting is.
Or that was a
Here we go.
classic joke we used to play on people. Aha! Here's Windows is now in German.
So speaking of German, there actually is a beta support right now as well for German if you want to play that
Whoa.
old joke on people. But inside Tabular Editor, if you go to your preferences area and go to user interface, there's a setting right here for user interface language, and that'll allow you to actually shift that language over to whatever your language of choice is. And so if you shift it over, if somebody plays that German joke on you and you're looking for a way to shift it back, just know that user interface is the 5th option down inside of Tabular Editor over here.
So bookmark this live stream.
I was gonna say,
Bookmark
people-
this guide. This will be where you use where you reset this. So
Nice.
oh, this is fantastic. I'm going to say, are you guys familiar with the comedian Jimmy Carr?
Yes.
Yeah.
I just saw a little joke from him while he's doing some audience work. He goes, "Do you know how badass the British are?" He goes, "Do you know the country Germany?" And everyone goes, "Yes." He goes, "Yeah. You know what Germans call it? It's Deutschland. We heard that. We went, nah, you're Germany. And the world calls them Germany." It's like, oh my God. That's
Pretty
crazy.
true.
So when you showed the language list, I'm looking for German. I'm like, oh, wait, there's the Deutschland.
Yep.
All right.
I really wonder
Oh,
sometimes how we get all those different names for the countries. Because like in Spanish, Germany would be Alemania, and that's very, very unlike Deutschland or Germany.
Yeah.
right. Yeah, I think it's like just individual countries who are like, you know what? I'm just gonna call you this.
Mhm.
I think it depends on what beef they had with the country at that moment in time. Are we on good friends? All right, we'll go with your name. Are we having
Yeah.
issues?
Mhm.
Germany.
Yeah. Hey, Kyle, Gary's got a question. Any insights into when or if the feature releases are going to integrate Copilot into Tabular Editor or any other AI language to help?
Yeah. So I can find a link for you later. There's a live stream that Morton, my colleague, did back in November where he gave a sneak peek of some AI features that are coming to Tabular Editor in the future. Right now, we're planning those for probably Q2 of this year. There's some internal testing that we're going through to actually just make sure that there's safeguards in place, but there is a AI assistant feature that is going to be coming to Tabular Editor 3 later this year. And the really nice thing with that feature is not only the fact that it's built into Tabular Editor 3, so it's already where you're doing your work, but also importantly, it understands semantic models. And it is able to understand not only semantic models, but if you're like me and you started off as a business user working with Power BI Desktop and you kind of just fell forwards to the point that we're all at now, then C# might be a totally foreign language. I do not understand how to write C# from scratch. It has never been my thing, but it's super, super useful in Tabular Editor for macros, for scripting things across your model. And so that AI assistant, when I've been testing it internally, I really like using it for helping me write C# that just works with my model instead of having to copy and paste things and then edit parameters and all that.
So I think that'll be interesting, but I think it was GitHub Copilot to write some pretty intensive C# scripts. What I wanted to do was build a static website from the model to document it. And at first I started going down the path of putting it in the Markdown language, right? But then I ended up saying, oh, I want this all in HTML. And since I was using Tabular Editor to manage my model, I told the AI I wanted to do it off of a C# script for Tabular Editor. And it did amazingly well. I did have to point it to the documentation for the C# script at one point to try to, because it thought some things should be like in the annotation property or something like that, and it wasn't. So I pointed it to that site, had it kind of go over that site, and I found the right code to get everything that I needed and stuff. It did amazingly well with it. So I could just imagine if you guys package it in there that it already has all this other stuff added onto it, bolted in, it's going to work even better. So that's amazing.
Yeah, and really that's the whole idea behind it, is to be able to have it not only integrated into where you're already doing your work, but take care of some of that setup process for you. The MCP servers and everything else that's out there right now with GitHub Copilot are phenomenal. Absolutely incredible tools. And Kurt actually wrote some really, really good blog posts on the Tabular Editor blog about using MCP servers, about using other agentic tools outside of Tabular Editor. And those are absolutely incredible. The idea behind building it into Tabular Editor is to make it almost like an easy button to getting it set up, to where if you understand MCP servers, you've gone down the rabbit hole, you've got all this going on your local machine, that's great. Not everyone's at that point yet, and we want to be able to help bring people forward to that point.
That's awesome. Yeah, I have a number of colleagues who have been playing around with MCP servers for a while, and even when they try to explain it to someone else on how to set it up, it is a slight nightmare. So I think that is very needed. Plus, a lot of people
I think
get
that's a
approval
great way
for-
to characterize a lot of aspects of AI right now. It's a slight nightmare.
Not a full-on night terror. You're not waking up screaming, but
yeah, it's just a slight one. Like, oh, my job's completely useless, or
it's fine. We're all just having a group identity crisis. It's fine. If everybody feels it, nobody feels it, right?
AI generated this code, and only AI can read this code. Oh no, what are we going to like? Once you cross that Rubicon, like you're done. Like, okay, now the code base is in a place where nobody can read and work with. So that's going to be interesting.
To be fair, banks already have that. Nobody knows COBOL anymore.
So did you read that same article yesterday? Or I saw it that I think Jared is the one that reposted it from Bucky.
Yeah, Buck had shared it initially, and I had shared it too, talking about the whole dialogue of AI. But it's interesting because COBOL was part of that topic too, of just we're almost in a decade cycle of every decade there's disruption in the industry. And when the disruption happens, part of the reason that the disruption occurs, at least according to the article, which I think is a fair point, is because business users and non-developer people are trying to find ways to replace the developer. But they keep running into the same problem, which is, all right, things like COBOL, things like case tools, and even when we talk about AI, does it simplify certain aspects of the experience? Yes, but does it completely replace the developer mindset of logical thinking, approaches to problems, and more importantly, what we all deal with as data experts of what do you do when the users don't use your applications the way you expect them to? And then suddenly you're getting data that you're not expecting in processes that you're not expecting. And that's something that AI even can't really do well, because that's what we as developers do. So it was a very interesting article. If you go check out my LinkedIn page or Buck's page, you'll see the article that we were talking about yesterday. Really interesting insights on that.
I do think a big component of why AI is pretty bad at that kind of stuff is it lives by the sunk cost fallacy. It has a really hard time starting over to accommodate new things unless you open a new chat, unless you open a new context. It has a really hard time removing the work it's already done from its brain, so to speak, to pivot.
Well, I've been working for about 18 months to train a variety of different AIs to disregard all of the documentation about calculated columns. And so far, it's starting to yield some positive benefits because there's no one creating new documents about them. So it's working well, and so we're going to keep pushing forward on the elimination of calculated columns. So fingers crossed, we can slowly train the AIs to no longer promote that. So,
well, just one thing on that article, and we'll move on. Is I'm so stinking old. I worked with COBOL, and I worked with case tools that generated COBOL. So that article, Jarrett, really hit home with me. And it made sense, right? Because I've seen some really bad code come up. We had a case tool that was written by a French company, and so the COBOL that it generated out was awful. And then we had to try to maintain it without the tool later. The points of that really hit home. So anyway.
Yeah, same. When I came into the industry, it was actually in the section the article was talking about Visual Basic really coming into things, and I hadn't even thought of it within that context. But as soon as the article was talking about it, I'm like, yeah, actually, my entrance into the industry was really through Visual Basic, and then building out a bunch of technical expertise beyond that. So it's interesting to see that progression, but it is we like cycles, so it's cyclical.
But back to Tabular Editor.
Yeah, well, and one of the things that we really need to be focusing on here is, and I just interviewed Bogdan Kravat earlier this week. Look for that. It should go live sometime next week. The number one thing he said we should be focusing on in 2026 is around the subject of AI is building out a solid semantic layer that sits on top of our all of our data, specifically sits on top of one lake data, so that our AIs are going to be able to run across scalable back-end infrastructure so that we can yield positive results. And if we're going to do that, we need to have Tabular Editor 3 to properly build and manage our models. And for some of you who are not using Tabular Editor 3, this could seem like it's a daunting task. If you need the energy to get up and get going, this is where we're going to be looking for Nero Gum. Nero Gum brings you caffeine, B vitamins, and L-theanine to give you the boost in energy you need to start converting your models from Power BI
vitamins and
over
what?
to Tabular Editor 3. Nero Gum, no jitters, all the energy. And if you use Kratos BI checkout, you get 0% off. Nero Gum is not an affiliated partner of the channel. We get no compensation from this, but we like the clean energy, so we promote Nero Gum.
Does Nero Gum have any influence on your use or not use of calculated columns?
It will help you avoid the temptation of giving into calculated columns. I think they're going to be putting it right on one of the warning labels on the back. At least I've submitted a pull request to have them change that. We'll see if that actually happens or not.
So once you have your Nero Gum, now you have the energy to work on your model, bring up Tabular Editor 3, and figure out what the heck is wrong with your DAX. How do you do that?
Yeah.
Debug in Tabular Editor 3. This is one of the best features.
Kyle, are you able to show us how you debug in Tabular Editor 3? That's something I've never been able to really understand.
Yeah, absolutely. I can show you a simplified version. I don't have a great, super difficult, complex measure to use for this right now, but I do have some stuff that I can show you. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start by actually writing a very simple DAX query, because in order to be able to debug something in DAX, I first need to evaluate something in DAX. So we can do this from the DAX query view. We also can do this from the pivot grid view, but I'm going to use a simple DAX query here, and I'm just going to really quickly type out a summarized column statement for us. So I'm going to put in that I want to look at my brand, my color, and let's go net sales and budget. So one thing that's worth on the way to the debugger demo, as we are actually typing in this DAX, you'll notice that I didn't actually explicitly type in the names of the columns that are required for summarized columns. Instead, I just started typing in my net sales measure here, and the IntelliSense that's built into Tabular Editor 3 is smart enough to know that, hey, you're naming an expression inside summarized columns. In order to evaluate that, you first need to name the column for it to show up in. From there, it just adds it in right there for us, which is really, really handy. But I'm going to take this and I'm going to execute this simple query here. results down here at the bottom. And so budget in this case was a valid measure because it doesn't work within this context. But looking at my net sales measure right here, we can see that I have all of those various results based on the DAX query that I've typed. And as I'm scrolling through here, I might see something that looks a little bit odd, something I want to debug. And when we're debugging in DAX, we are going to look at the context of one individual cell. So in this case, for example, I want to look at my brand of volcanic, my color of gray, and I want to look into that value for net sales and see how that is actually formed. So I'm going to right click on that cell and click on debug cell right here. And that's going to bring us into the debugger view. You'll notice a few things shift around on my screen when this opens up. And so at the top here, we have the main DAX debugger view that shows us that actual code that's being evaluated for that individual cell. And then down below, and I'm just going to resize our windows here a little bit, we'll be able to see our locals window and our evaluation context window here. So what that's going to do for us, I'm going to start down here and just kind of walk through this really quickly for a more in-depth example of how to use the DAX debugger. I do also want to give a shameless plug for Tabular Editor Learn. That is our learning platform that we have available with over 40 hours of free video content, self-paced. It's put together by Kurt, which I don't know about anyone else, but I personally think that Kurt is just one of the best writers in our space, and he's put together a really, really great course that'll walk you through everything that goes into the debugger. But for right now, we're just going to focus on the locals window, the watch window, and the evaluation context window down here. So in locals, we'll be able to see right here anything that's being evaluated as part of the current expression. So that value that we clicked on in our DAX query earlier is going to show up right here. But importantly also, if we're working with more complex measures, any variables that are defined inside the measure itself will also show up inside this locals window for us and make it easy to see those individual pieces along the way. But as I'm debugging net sales, for example, I also might want to be able to view a couple of other measures. So let's say I want to be able to view my net orders, or I want to be able to evaluate just a count rows of a table that's in part of this expression. And that's what that watch window down here in the bottom left corner is really going to be useful for. So when I click on watch here, this allows us to type in any valid expression in the DAX language, and it'll be evaluated inside the same evaluation context that we're currently looking at. So that same combination of the color gray and the brand volcanic. If I type in net orders right here as a good example, we can see that that value is going to pop in here for me. And as well, we can put as many as we want in here. So I'll say like net orders 1 year prior, for example, or net orders 2 years prior, or I can put in net sales 1 year prior, so on and so forth. And we can name as many expressions as we want. Importantly, we can't only put in a existing measure here, but I can also actually type out any valid DAX expression here. So if we want to say, for example, give me a count rows of my fact table. So let's just say, for example, let's see, what was the name of my fact table here? If I can remember it. There we go, just the budget table here. So I'm going to pull in count rows of budget. Any valid DAX expression is able to be popped into here. And now we can see that in the context I'm looking at right now, this budget table has 25,588 rows. So I can view all of those together in one spot. And the way that I might have done that previous to using the debugger is, I'm sure we've all, as we're writing a DAX measure, we pop into desktop, we create a page that has about 8 card visuals on it to show each of these values that we want to monitor. And this just makes it easier to where we're not having to deal with that visual interaction layer. But importantly here, right now, I'm always looking at gray and volcanic and that combination of those based on what I clicked in our query view earlier. But if I suddenly want to be able to view all these same values for every gray product, for example, so I don't only want to look at the brand volcanic, that's where this evaluation context window can really, really come in handy, because we see next to any filters that we have in place, this handy dandy little checkbox. And so if I suddenly want to view all of these same values, but across all brands, still respecting the color gray, I can simply uncheck that box, and we'll see that all of our values over here have updated for us. And we can check and uncheck as many of those as we want.
So handy.
Wow, this is incredible. I'm a big fan of this. This This makes that validation process, like when you, especially when you know what your answers you're trying to come up with, right? And they're not right. And you're trying to like work through your iterations of your decks to get it right. This is so useful in helping you rapidly get there instead of having, Tabular Editor open and your Power BI report there and you make an adjustment and then you do it, you do a refresh and like that back and forth is a real pain. This makes it so much easier. To that
Absolutely.
extent, I want to do a quick little question for the audience, right? So please, if you're watching, I want to ask you guys a question of the day. I'm looking to understand in our audience, are you using Tabular Editor today? If so, like I want to know what kind of Tabular Editor you're using. Are you, like, no, we're not using it? Or 2 if you're using Tabular Editor 2, or 3 if you're using Tabular Editor 3. Would love to see who in our audience, like, so we can understand like how pervasive this is. Because I'll be honest, I don't think I was the first customer of Tabular Editor 3, but I was one of the first people out there purchasing it. The second it was announced, I had a proposal into leadership to start using it. So I've been on board for a long time. Would love to see where other people are at, and if that's like, if is it just me, or where are we at? Yeah. Oh, look at Jake. TE2 at work, TE3 at home. Good on you.
So Jake, a funny note for you related to that. Prior to joining Tabular Editor, for a while, I wanted a previous employer of mine to pay for Tabular Editor, and they did not want to pay for it. And so I actually paid out of my own pocket for a few years for a TE3 desktop or business license at different points, because it made life make so much more sense for me. So for a while, I was also TE3 at home and TE2 at work.
Oh, that's fantastic. Wow. Yes, that does make it easy, because I too now use Tabular Editor 3 at home because of the MVP license. So thank you, Tabular Editor, for that. That is potentially like Jared, that might be the #1 reason you should get your MVP. To get your free Tabular Editor 3 license. It's wonderful.
It
Good
really.
to know. I'll keep that in mind. Thanks.
Yeah. So all the nights and weekends of work really pay off with that sweet Tabular Editor 3 license. So.
I don't know how people really get around without it, right? So with the consulting stuff that I do, I have a license, paid license, right? I don't use my MVP. I never claimed my MVP license because I just have one that's paid for it. And I have a lot of clients that let me bring my own tools. I use my own hardware, so I use it everywhere, and then ones that want to have me use their stuff, I have them buy it. I give them the spiel and tell them how much it's going to save and everything like that. So it's just, again, I can't understand. Like when I turn things over to people, I tell them they need to get the license. And they're like, I never even heard of it. It's like, yeah, I don't know how you could get around putting really, really good models together, right? I mean, everybody knows the best practice analyzer. I live in that tab. And, I may change the rules. I may say, I don't want this rule or that rule or whatever, or ignore it for this. But at least I made that decision intentional, So.
Yeah.
And Kevin,
and I wasn't kidding about the semantic model being the secret to AI. And like, if you, and there's lots of case studies coming out right now saying like companies are buying it, but nobody's adopting AI. And if you look at why they're not adopting it in their day-to-day business, it's because they're not getting good answers about their business from it. Well, if you're looking for quantitative answers from your AIs need to understand the data that's in your ecosystems to be able to do that. And the only way AI is going to be able to understand that is if you have a good semantic layer on top of your data. That is critical for the AI success 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, 4 years from now is to have that there. And there is absolutely no way to build that out without Tabular Editor 3, at least no efficient or effective way to do that that scales. And like, I frankly, I don't contend that there is a reasonable way to truly do it without Tabular Editor 3 inside your build process. And to that end, Kyle, as we start to look towards like an AI landscape where AIs are looking at our model, looking at understanding it, do you have any tips or tricks on how we can update our tabular models to make them more AI ready?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So a shameless plug to somebody else who has already written on that, because they will be able to write about it better than I can ever speak about it. In that link that you sent earlier on the AI section of the Tabular Editor blog, there's a lot of really, really great content that Kurt put into there talking about not only how to use these tools, but also how to better prep your models to actually be able to work with AI. But one thing that I think is a really kind of underutilized thing in the community out there right now is actually using AI to help us prep the models for AI, and kind of getting that recursive loop started. So whether you're using the MCP servers, whether you want to use Tabular Editor 3's built-in AI features in the future, whichever route we go, actually creating that conversation with the agents to start saying like, hey, tell me what you're able to understand about this model. If I were to ask this, if I were to ask that, and asking it what can be done to better optimize is a really, really cool way to help better work with that. But one of the easiest things that you can do is just adding descriptions to all of your measures, all of your columns, all of your tables. Every object inside that model should have a description. And with that idea of everything having a description, that takes a long time to go in there and manually add a description for absolutely everything inside of our entire model. So why not use AI to help write the descriptions that AI will then use? There's a really, really great article. I think it was either Kurt or Bernat wrote about this a couple years ago. I'll see if I can find the link. But they talked about specifically creating a C# script inside Tabular Editor that calls on ChatGPT externally and says, hey, I'm just going to feed you the string of every single DAX expression inside my model, write a description for it, and update that in the description property. One click, C# script, description added for everything. And that makes it so, so much easier for then any agents that we're connecting to that model to have that additional metadata.
Wow, that is fantastic. You know, like, why not just take advantage of that? And I think that's unbelievable. And like, what if we wanted to do customizations or make blanket changes to it? Is that easy to do too, Kyle?
Yeah, absolutely. Talking about like making batch changes across our model.
Yes.
Yeah, so there's two really easy ways that you can make batch changes. So I'm going to pop back over to the screen here, and I'm just going to reset to a default layout. So one of the things that we can quickly and easily do if we wanted to make batch changes, like for example, a batch rename operation, that can be really, really simple, but also a headache to do manually. Where let's say, for example, that inside of my budget table, I wanted to look at every object inside of that table. So all my measures, all my columns, everything else. And I might want to replace the word budget with budget 2 or something like that. To batch rename, we can right click on that budget table right here. And I'm going to click batch rename children right here. And I can do a find replace across all of the objects. If I go to budget and I want to replace it with misspelled, for example, I can simply click OK here. And now you can see that everything inside that budget table now is named as budget rather than budget. And so that can really help with some of those high-level tasks. But then, and also, if you want to be able to really do things across the whole model, that's where the magic of C# scripting becomes really, really helpful. And because many of you, like me, are not a C# person, you come from the business side, if we wanted to be able to write our own scripts, but the AI assistant feature isn't out yet, I know exactly what I want it to do, but I just don't know how to write the C# for it. We also have a macro recorder built directly into Tabular Editor 3, where instead of going through the process of writing all that code out by hand, I can say, I'm going to make the change that I want to make while it is recording what I'm doing. And very similar to the VBA macro recorder inside of Excel, you can then see all that code, modify that code, and turn it into something that's able to run across the entirety of your model.
So nice.
Ooh.
So nice. I used to my first ever big conference presentation was using C# against the against Timsil at the time, against the model, and I just have distinct memories of like as soon as AI stuff came out, being like, oh, I would have loved this. Trying all that code out. It was just like hours of banging my head against the wall, figuring out where I missed a space or, where I renamed something, but not everywhere. And this is awesome. I absolutely love this. I also love that we get some of these features. I don't know about you guys. I started in the Excel world. So to have features that feel Excel-y are really nice, like that macro recorder. That's awesome.
It always goes back to Excel.
It kind of does.
Hey, Kyle, can I get you to go back to
love.
that? Oh, sorry.
I
go ahead.
love the ability to autocorrect all of something, because I'm gonna admit the first major big success I ever had in tech was supposed. They thought it was going to be a small project. Was this like auto micro loan processing system for a bank, and they thought they're going to like sell 50 to 100 a year, and they sold like 480 the first day we launched the thing. And when I left the bank, it was making them $20 million a year in fees, and it was this huge, massive success. And I was literally the only developer for like 80% of the build. And I accidentally spelled loan wrong on one of the core processing tables that was called all over the place. And I was never able to go in and correct it because I didn't have a tool that could go in and make massive macro changes. And so I just had to live with that spelling everywhere because it was a small little project that, Chris, the new guy, will write up and do. And people weren't paying any attention to it until it like just blew up. And I was trapped with that Loan or I had the O and the A flip on. Yeah.
That's what I was just sitting there writing it down, going, okay, well, how would you misspell it? So you put the A before the O.
Wow.
Yeah, I put the A before the O. Yeah. Just
Loan.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I was just like, it was supposed to be this little thing that nobody cared about, and immediately everyone cared about it, and it was
Hey, so Kyle, can we switch back to your screen real quick? 'Cause I know
Absolutely.
we've talked about a lot of big things in Tabular Editor 3 and stuff like that, but just some little stuff like you're on this measure of budget versus gross sales, a percentage, right? And you see all the properties down below. But now if you control click on the other percentage at the same time, not the delta one, but See, so now expand your format string, because out of those two percentages, it looks like your format string is different, right? Because it's not showing. If they were the same, your format string would show up here because they're like how your display folder shows, because it's all in the same thing. And so like I use that, and you probably intentionally had the format string different, right? Because this one could be negative. But when I want all my format strings on these measures to be the same, right? I use this to kind of help verify that, number one, that I did it, or to fix it if I didn't do that. Just those little productivity enhancements to me are just insane,
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And another really handy thing that I actually didn't know until I was prepping for this, and I was talking with some other folks in the company about like, oh hey, what are your favorite quick wins? One that I just discovered that I think is incredible is the peak definition feature is a little bit more powerful than I thought it was. So when we're working on writing a longer measure and we're kind of going into our DAX, and let's go to budget here, there's a lot going on. And we know already, or I knew already, I should say, that in a measure, if I'm referencing another measure, I can right click and say peak definition in order to view the definition of that measure directly in line here without leaving the context of what I'm working on. Or I can right click and say go to definition. But the thing that I actually didn't realize is that not only does that apply to measures, but also to variables actually inside of our same expression. So if I have a lot of variables up here at the top and I'm working on my return statement down here, I want to verify, okay, selected monthly rate, what actually went into that? I could scroll up and kind of find it within that long expression, but I can right click and peek definition of that variable, and we can actually see that variable's definition directly in line here as well.
Oh, that's cool.
Holy
I didn't know
crap.
that either.
I had no idea that was a thing until about 2 days ago, and I wish that I knew it sooner.
And look at that. It even shows the line number. So like if it's a really long one and you're like midway down and it's midway up, you could see exactly where you need to go if you're trying to like understand the whole thing there. That's fantastic.
Absolutely.
Sweet.
I have a strange question, Kyle. Can this nest? Like if you were looking at a measure that or a variable that called another measure, can you peek the definition inside your peek definition?
You know, that's actually a great question. So let's find out. I'm just gonna pop into here just in a random spot. I'm gonna put my like budget versus gross sales because I know that had measures nested inside of it. If I right click on this and say peak definition, then inside here, it doesn't nest. So we can't get that kind of downwards recursion. But from here, if I wanted to then see what goes into Buget, I can right click here and say go to definition, and then I can peek definition or go to definition inside of here.
I'm going to be laughing at Buget all day long.
Yeah.
Well, and the really handy thing too is when we did that batch rename of Buget, not only did it rename the objects, but you can see that inside of all of our individual expressions, it did that cleanup for us too.
Yeah.
Honestly, this is one of the biggest things that I loved about the Tyndall view was being able to do it, but it is so nice to have this UI and not have to worry about my tabbing, not having to work. Like I've been trying to walk through a couple of folks that I work with how to use the Tyndall view, and I wish that we all had Tabular Editor 3 because it would have been much easier to just do it in here. So I love it.
Oh yeah. And one other thing that I really, really love is, let's say, for example, that I made this change, I added this into here, and it's invalid. That created a bunch of errors across my entire model. And let's say that I accidentally went in and saved that to my model. Or actually, let's say that I haven't saved it yet, but I wanted to undo that. And in Power BI Desktop, when we make changes to a measure, there's no ability to undo that change. It made the change, it writes that. Tabular Editor 3, because you're always working in a offline metadata only model, you can actually have a universal undo of just pressing Control-Z to clean that up. And not only does that apply to things that I did by hand, but even things that we do via C# scripting, you always have the ability to undo that, which is really, really, really handy.
Whoa.
Wow.
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
That is fantastic. Well, Kyle, I mean, I think we could go for another hour or two, but we are at time. Thank you so much for joining us here. Where should people be following you, or how can people connect with you? I know you've got a lot of great insights. What's the best way for people to like connect with you?
Yeah, so the best way to connect with me is just going to be following me on LinkedIn. Usually most of the posting that I'll do will end up on there. I do have a blog that has, I think, 2 posts on it from the last 4 or 5 years. But if you go to dataafterdark.tips, that's going to be my blog. And I'm going to start adding more things in there as I start doing a little bit more community content. And last but not least, if you want to see me at any conferences, I will be popping around to various conferences within the US, and we have other folks going to European conferences. I'm hoping to start speaking a little bit more at those, so keep an eye out. But
Are you gonna be in
dataafterdark.
Chicago?
What was that, Christina?
I'm sorry. Are you gonna be in Chicago?
I am not going to be at Data Days Chicago, the one that's coming up in just a few days.
Okay.
But
No, in March.
I'll let you know when I am.
March.
You're good.
March.
March.
Oh, March. Yes.
Yep.
Well,
All good.
either way, I'm not at Data Days Chicago, but I will be at other conferences coming up. So in March, I'll definitely be at FabCon. I'll be at the Atlanta AI and BI Data Days. And then I will also be, there's a third one in March. I
Data
don't remember what the third one.
No. That's Nashville.
If I think of it, I will post somewhere about it.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for joining us. Jared, Christina, Kevin, thank you very much for always being there for us. And thank you guys for tuning in. I mean, we do this because we love the community. It's my favorite way to start Fridays. I absolutely miss you guys every single time we end up with some sort of a break or whatnot. So I really appreciate it. It is my favorite part of the week. I love it. You guys, every one of you, have the best day ever. Peace.
Peace.
Baker Tilly Digital combines strategic industry insight and advanced technical expertise to uncover and solve your digital transformation challenges. If you're interested in learning more, check out our website at bakertilly.com/digital.